overthink things. When you make decisions, you need to be rational and think through them, but you need to feel inside, in your heart, in your gut, this is the right thing. If it doesn't feel like it is, then it isn't. But to really listen to that part of yourself and not just to stay analytical, because that's where you can get caught in fear. Because if there's uncertainty and you can't really measure, or you're not sure about everything, then you might just get stuck in old paradigms, and you're not willing to push through some of that fear and have that belief to take that leap, which can feel scary at times.
Welcome to the Warriors at Work show. This is Jeannie Coomber, your guide and host. This is a show for men and women in the workplace who want to move from the predictable to the potent. This is your weekly dose of inspiration with an edge. I talk with CEOs and shamans, sports marketing executives and therapists. All of us are like-minded thinkers and doers who tell stories, share wisdom, and challenge each other to have the best life possible inside and outside the office. Welcome to your Warrior Conversation.
Hey everybody, it's Jeannie. Thanks so much for joining me at the Warriors at Work show. My final fierce female founders conversation is here. Barbara Best and Nancy Rizzuto from Capital Strategies Investment Group, or Cap Strat as they call it. 19 years ago, these two highly successful investment advisors took a gigantic chance on themselves and each other, left a big career in a global firm to create an investment advisory firm that was rooted in their values, in their principles. It also provided them a wide open canvas where they could explore their personal goals and ambitions. In this conversation, you're going to hear about the early struggles of being an entrepreneur, the fragility, the fear that comes up, the importance of knowing your value, how partnership is born and cultivated over 19 years. If you are thinking about maybe leaving your organization to do your own thing, or maybe you're toying with the idea of a startup with a colleague, or even if you want some ideas that can help you and your teams expand their thinking on things like brand, mission, and purpose, this conversation is for you. Enjoy. So welcome, Barbara and Nancy, into today's conversation. I am so thrilled to have you here with me. Thank you. I can't wait to get into this. We've been planning and talking about this forever, and Here we are. So thank you again. Really, really appreciate it. So let's just take a beat here, and we're going to reflect for a moment. So Capital Strategies has been around for 19 years, and we're going to dive into that story. But let's take you back. 19 years ago, you both took a leap in your life and in your career. You came together with a third partner and started an investment advisory firm called Capital Strategies. Now, I want you to think back for a moment to where you were, who you were even 19 years ago. And I'd love for you to share, like, what comes up when I say that to you both? Where were you? What was it like?
Holy cow. Well, I was a newlywed. I was a new mom. I had just adopted my daughter from China. And I had been at the firm where I met Nancy for about 19 years. And I didn't know anything different until, from a business model, I didn't appreciate how narrow my lens was until I met Nancy and Will, our other founder. And they just opened my eyes and expanded my horizon and made me realize, wow, the vision that they had of what they wanted to do, I needed to go with them and do it as well.
Oh, I'm going to dive into that in a second because I want to unpack a little bit of what you just said. So how about you, Nancy? What was life like for you 19 years ago?
Yeah, so a little different than Barbara. So I was just on a personal side going through a divorce, had just separated, and moving out of a lovely area in Western New Jersey in a lovely home back into Manhattan, and a one bedroom, one and a half bath apartment. And so it was a fragile time for me personally. Frightening on in a number of ways. I had been married for just short of 15 years, and then that coupled with this, starting this new business, was just, there were a lot of emotions. And um, but really, we always say that, for Will and I, one of the best things that came out of our engagement with this larger broker dealer was that we met Barbara. And even though I was going through some challenges on, personally, and dealing with a lot of fear, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of anxiety, just the vision that we had for this business was just crystal clear. And I
Mm.
think the piece that I found came from the fact that I knew that these were two people that, um, I was meant to do this with, to go down this journey. So that created some confidence and some excitement, coupled with all of those other emotions.
So tell us, what was the vision that was so crystal clear?
Well, at the firm we were at, the approach to business was, here's this product, this is what we have, and just kind of to force it into the client and convince the client that this definition and product outline was what they needed,
Mm.
versus have a conversation and say, so, what is important to you? What are you trying to accomplish in your organization? Let's make the best solution that you need to fulfill your mission, your vision of what is important to your company, to your employees, all the key stakeholders. That was a very different approach. I'd been in the other organization where we were just, convincing clients that this is what it was. People would sell things, and I was in charge of implementing those relationships and figuring, you said what? Uh, um, in trying to figure out how to make things happen, and not starting from a foundation of trust in those relationships. And when I saw this new paradigm, I thought, oh my God, this is exactly the
Mm.
world I want to create. And I want to be more authentic and be able to have real relationships versus getting stuck in transactions.
Yeah, and I think that from my perspective, when as entrepreneurs, most people who start a business to solve a problem. And we
Mm.
really saw kind of a gap in the institutional retirement consulting field at that time. Um, there was a lot of expertise, for that could be provided by large institutional consulting firms, but we saw really a gap with mid-sized companies who wanted great consulting, true transparency, somebody who was looking out for their best interests, somebody who could provide really holistic support, not just here are your investments, but really how
Mm.
do we help leadership at mid-sized companies operate with true fiduciary excellence with respect to their retirement plans or other corporate assets, and not just go to some large global consulting firm who all they care about is selling projects or billable hours. And so we saw that kind of gap and thought that, or not thought, knew that we could create a company to really kind of offer that support and those services. And as Barbara said, based on two fundamental principles: trust and transparency. And
Mm.
those don't, you don't build trust in one conversation. And when we started this business, we started with no clients,
Right. And
zero
that
clients.
lack of transparency,
And
is awful.
yeah,
And,
I mean,
gotten
Mm.
financial
better.
services is not known for transparency.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Especially
that
at that
was,
time.
yeah, and that's something that we so believe in. And so we were committed to creating this new paradigm, and knew that, if we were consistent and persevered, that, it would take off.
So what did you see in each other? So here you are again, 19 years later. Like, what did you really see in each other to say, yeah, we've got something here? I could leverage this skill in you. You could leverage this skill in me. So tell me, like, what was it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'll just jump in, because I think that Barbara is one of the most talented relationship managers that I've ever seen. Not just relationship manager, but she had a true strategic vision. She came at a relationship from a strategic partnership perspective, from a relationship perspective versus just a transaction.
Mm,
We wanted to develop a firm where this was not, clients rotating in and out as we had seen at the larger, company broker dealer that we were with. It was, you gain one client, you lose three, you lose three clients, and it was just, that's not what we were. And that a lot of that has to do with the ability really to create those relationships, those deep client relationships. And I think Barbara had and continues to have just, stellar expertise when it comes to being able to develop those partnerships. And she when we started the firm, she was really seen truly as a partner to somebody, not a vendor,
mm.
not somebody who's going to execute a transaction, but a true partner. And she from my perspective always came at it as, if I can't figure out how to solve a problem for you or help you, I'll figure out and find the resources and who can. So that was
Well,
something
now
that I saw.
I get to jump in, right? Because that's so lovely of you, Nancy. But obviously, if Nancy saw those attributes in me, she possessed those as well, right? So, but she was on the front end, the business development end.
Mm,
So that partnership of someone in my role and what she did is so essential also for successful outcomes, because it's setting expectations and building trust up front to really set the potential relationship in the right path. And Nancy also has tremendous discipline and really consistent process to be able to reach out to people, to break through any fear of picking up a phone and calling someone that she didn't know, and forging relationships and connecting with them and reaching back out on a consistent basis to develop this reliable resource that was there and a voice in the industry that could offer some information or insights. And then ultimately, when that potential client had a need, they were really aware of who we were. Nancy put us on the radar, and then we got involved in their business decision process to maybe find a new advisor or to have their first advisor if they didn't have an independent advisor. And she really helped put a voice to this excellence that we could deliver in this new paradigm, quite honestly, of being a good fiduciary. It wasn't just managing your investments, it was really managing things holistically, having great governance, having great process, having great compliance, having great plan design and communications with your employees. So she was really the one at the front that was able to make those introductions and then cultivate that and give us that opportunity to have a seat at the table when it was time.
So I'm going to just say back what I've heard so far. So here we were 19 years ago. You were both in unique places in your life, and you were really ready for another opportunity. And you found an opportunity because there was a business need, but also you have the opportunity to create something that aligns with your value system and your heart and like the essence of who you were. You came together because you knew each other's professional experience, but that you also saw each other's talent and unique gifts in the world. And you were able to blend those two things in a way that made a ton of sense. But I want to talk a little bit about the fear and uncertainty, because when I think about people that are deciding to go out on their own, which is this is a part of a fierce female founder series, it takes a lot. It isn't just, hey, great idea, great people. you really have to be able to execute and create and leverage things in a strong and consistent way. And you both made reference to having fear and uncertainty, but you did it anyway. So talk to us about, how did you push through the fear? Was it key conversations? Was it resources? Was it therapists? Like what was
All
it
of the
that
above,
really
Jeannie.
Right. Well, I think it's really important to take a step back and say the third component of this successful enterprise was really our partner, Will,
Mm,
who, so his gifts, which are so many, is that he was the vision. He could do so many things so well: financial
mm,
underpinning, facilitating, getting the legal infrastructure in place, creating the technology and the products and the deliverables. I mean, we all worked together and we all had these different skills, but he really was the leader in building this vision and did a
mm,
fantastic job helping to articulate our story, helping us be better at what we did, and we all just really complemented each other so nicely. And without that those joint skills, I don't see how this could have happened the way it did. It was really an important, triumvirate, if you will, to really pull this together.
mm,
And I think I would totally agree with Barbara. He's an amazing visionary 19 years ago and today. And I think, but to answer your question about the fear and the uncertainty and stuff, um, I think when I think about how I got through that, I think about just faith. Um, I think, and not religious faith, but just a deep belief
mm,
in this vision, a deep belief that what we were creating was needed in the marketplace, that the holistic aspect of the services we were providing, again, not just the investment piece, and my belief in Barbara and in Will. And I've said this, and they hear me say this all the time, and Jeannie, perhaps I even said this to you. My belief was so strong 19 years ago, and it's still so strong today, that it is something I can hold. It is
mm,
almost a physical thing to me. And we are not trying to be we didn't never wanted to be everything to everybody. We serve clients who embrace the same values that we do. And we are doing this. We created this company simply for one reason: to help make people's lives better
mm,
inside the company and outside, as fiduciaries, as leaders of their organizations, as leaders of, participants and participate in these plans. That's why we created it. And I had such I constantly went back to my faith in what we were doing. And
I
so
think
that's
that's
really,
really spot on. And I have to be really honest. I've always been in a big corporate environment, being a salary person, and so this was completely different. And but I never really had tremendous fear and uncertainty. I had such conviction. I think
mm.
because what we were doing was so aligned with my why, right? Really believing
So
in
important.
it and not just selling stuff, but really delivering value, helping organizations fulfill their mission, help their employees have much better outcomes with their retirement savings, helping them have more strength financially. It was really rewarding. It was
Mm,
just really aligned with what my core values were, which I think really helped not me get past any type of fear. Now, uncertain. I mean, I think when you're building your business, yeah, every now and then you have some sleepless nights of uncertainty as you're going through different growth pains, and I think that's normal. But I think I've become stronger and never really got stuck in any sense of failure. I mean, Nancy's other favorite quote is, failure was never an option. It was never a consideration, actually, to be honest.
I used to say early on when I started my practice is fear's not a good enough reason not to do this. And
Mhm.
it if especially you said it aligned with your why. And Nancy, you were saying it really aligned with sort of why you were even in this field to begin with, and that
Mhm.
you had this opportunity to create something really, really important and powerful and has long lasting effects, not just
Right.
about the transaction of financial services.
Right.
So let's get down to some of the brass tacks here. So let's think about the early days. Tell me some of the critical moves, whether it was operating principles, infrastructure, like what were some of those early decisions that were really, really important?
I think one of the things, I mean, that I think about is never saying no to a conversation. I mean, we started
Mm,
with nothing. We walked out of a global financial services firm with nothing. And, we just knew that we had a story to tell, that it was compelling, that it was consistent, and we believed in what we were doing. And so we would have conversations with just about, any CEO, CFO, treasurer, CHRO that would talk with us. And the way that we believed in creating our business really was just by planting seeds and nurturing relationships. And as
mm,
Yeah.
Barbara had said earlier, we'd have a conversation with somebody, and then 6 years later, 8 years later, they'd retain us or something because our story resonated, and over those years we created trust. So I know that, and it's so that was one, and the other is really just going above and beyond just being an advisor. Like, we have really deep relationships with the clients that we serve, um, both on the institutional side and the private wealth side, as as advisors, but also as friends. And
mm,
that's really important because
Yeah.
people want to do business with people that they like, and we not only invest in them to help them succeed, both as fiduciaries or as private clients, but really want to see them enjoy every aspect of their life and create that financial abundance so that they can live the life of their dreams, whatever that means to them.
Yeah.
So those are a couple things that resonate with me.
mm,
I think that's spot on, Nancy. And I also think we did a lot of work that was out of scope that we didn't worry about getting paid for. We just really had that belief, you know, we're engaged, and you get so strategic, it goes way beyond what your initial conversation was
mm,
about or your work was about. And we didn't worry about nickel and diming clients and increasing our fees. And, we evolved some of those fee models eventually, but very often we just would keep doing the work. We love the work. We know the client appreciated what we were doing for them, and it was helping them so much. So I think we didn't get worried about, making sure we gathered all those dollars we could. It was really, truly being of service. When we had some dips in the market, we lowered our fees for clients because they were
mm,
struggling. We certainly offered that. And then I think the one other element, a big decision we made when we first started this, we were within another large organization, but they said, well, you can be fiduciaries. You can use our fiduciary contract, because it was important to us to be able to always act in the client's best interest and not just to kind of do what we thought was okay to do, but not being held to that high standard of acting in someone's best interest. So, but this organization wasn't 100% fiduciary. It was duly registered as a broker dealer
mm,
and a fiduciary. And so we realized, to really be true to what our calling is and what we believe in, we need to go fully independent. And we did that. We lifted ourselves up and we started our own fully independent business, because we knew, as much as that could be very successful, ultimately we would do much better work. We could ultimately be more successful, especially in terms of what success means to us, to be fully independent and not have to limit the work we did because an overarching parent, was driving what we could or couldn't do. But we wanted full freedom to make the choices, again, that were ultimately aligned in our clients' best interests.
Yeah. And I remember, that was when we did that. It was in 2009, and people thought we were nuts
Well,
because
there was a lot
Yeah.
of
there was a lot going
disruption.
on,
The mortgage market
right?
had just gotten crushed, and there was a lot of financial uncertainty. Yeah, it was.
And
Yeah,
people just thought, but I think back, and if I recall, you know, every client stayed with us except those that were affiliated with that other organization.
yeah.
And I mean, I remember emails that we received from clients saying congratulations and stuff. And this was a business model that we deeply believed in. So
Right.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that because you just made me smile because there's always the naysayers and or those that are like, "What are you doing?" Where they put their label on your experience. I remember vividly the moment where I decided to leave corporate America and start doing this. What is this executive coaching thing? What is that? What are you crazy? I'm about to move you to here, and oh, great! So I have a 2.5 hour drive one way. Excellent. No, thank you. But let's talk about the doubters, the naysayers, or the people that were trying to guide you or tell you what you should be thinking or feeling. So give us some context there.
Well, I think those were people that lived in fear, right?
Mm,
And scarcity, that were used to that other model. We just knew that this model was, again, just that alignment of our values, our why, that this was how we could truly live within that alignment. And we knew that we had the ability. We just had that, again, that confidence. We could see that our clients didn't hire us because of this parent company. They hired
yeah.
us because of who we were, what we did, and how we added value. And we were already operating so independently that it just made sense to take the leap.
Wow.
yeah, and I think about two things also. I think about one, it really gave us the ability to answer to one constituency,
Mhm.
our clients, period. And also that it allowed us really to deliver tremendous value to our clients, not just really create the successful organization, but to be of true value to people and to leaders in managing these plans and C-suite executives and stuff like that. It really was about delivering tremendous value, that people would eventually understand and see. The more we got out and told our story and stuff like that, it just continued to resonate
Mm,
with
Yeah.
people.
Jeannie, I think the naysayers were people who were stuck in this model that is the traditional model and didn't really fully understand what we were doing. We just saw, because we were delivering all of these, holistic, wrapping our arms around clients and focusing on their needs. That's just not the culture of so many investment firms, especially at that time. And, this approach we've taken has really turned into a best practice. At first we had to really educate a lot of the committees and fiduciaries that it wasn't just reviewing investments, but
mm,
success is really much broader, and their potential vulnerability or liability is beyond just investment returns, and helped put it in context. And there were light bulbs that went off. And again, now this is really a best practice within our industry. So people caught on. I'm just glad that we were able to be early
Yeah.
into the building these opportunities and building this
I
approach.
I love what you're saying. You're both really highlighting. You don't have to follow things in a traditional predetermined way, and you're proving that out day in, day out, that you don't have to follow it the way that it might have even been set up. And who knows that that might not be the best solution for all. I love how you've taken sort of the foundational elements and you've made it very aligned with who you both are in the world. And now you're attracting in what aligns with that value system.
Mhm.
And, you know, the thing that I'd love to unpack a bit is talking about your partnership just holistically. Again, you talked about why you came together, what you saw in each other in terms of talent, but clearly from a partnership perspective, I'd love for you to just get to some of the tactical elements here. Like, how are you making decisions? How do you resolve differences?
So I think over the years, we have really grown to trust one another, and accept the fact that Barbara is, great at some things that I'm not great at. Will is great at vision. Sometimes I can't see right in front of me, and I just want to. And for me, a lot of times, I just want to go, and I don't think of strategy. I don't think of it. I just want to go. Like, and Barbara's great at strategy. Will's great at strategy, and I think that it's really just it comes down to, after 19 years, trust. That sometimes I need to really just accept the fact that and lean on Barbara, and trust that what the advice that she is giving me, or the direction that she's pointing me in, or how to think about a certain situation, may be a lot broader than I am, or may bring a different perspective than I'm able to. And the same with Will. So a lot of it is just being sure that we're open, to and not closed-minded to certain conversations, and certain decisions, and just you know s- I there are times that I realize I need to step back, and let Barbara take the lead, and she does the same thing, because we truly, all three of us, are very different. But when you bring those differences together, it is just magical. So, and sometimes we just delegate decisions, to one another,
Yeah.
depending on what it is.
I agree. Nancy and I are always saying, focus on what you can control, because I can't control all the decisions that I think I have these great, ideas around. And it's only sometimes a distraction as to where I need to be focused. What was Jeannie, though, really important to us is the firm isn't just about the three of us.
No.
We've actually cultivated talent and brought in four new partners who have come up through the ranks, and they're the future of the firm, right? So we need them to be owners and be responsible, and we've given them equity to as part of the business, because it's their technical expertise, their humanity, their ability to lead our team, to lead clients, and to let them do that, that has been so important. And I think, again, we talk about our shared vision. That's really been, Will's been really at the forefront of that. As much as he has always been our business leader, he's been just so just visionary to bring
Mm.
that next generation of leadership in, so that they step up and they lead and they move us forward.
Right.
So I'm curious, did either of you get some advice early on that was really instrumental in the trajectory of the firm?
So yeah, I can say that. So prior to this engagement, or this venture, I was a principal at a national consulting firm, and worked directly with the gentleman who started the company in 1965. And he basically, one day, we were sitting in our office in New York, and again, I joined his company not knowing anything about it, and built a presence in New York for them and stuff. And he just basically said, "Never give up, never give up."
Mm.
And I carry that with me all the time. And as Barbara said earlier, giving up was, failure's not an option. Well, we failed a whole host of times, but we have never and will never give up on being the best. We don't want to be the biggest. We just want to be the best and deliver great service to our clients. So he just said, never give up. And
Mm.
I never will.
How about you, Barbara? Did you get any advice early on that was really instrumental?
Yeah, I think the one thing that I think of is, just not to try to don't overthink things when you make
Mm.
decisions. You need to be rational and think through them, but you need to feel inside, in your heart, in your gut, that this is the right thing. If it doesn't feel like it is, then it isn't. But to really listen to that part of yourself and not just to stay
Mhm.
analytical, because that's where you can get caught in fear. Because if there's uncertainty and you can't really measure, or you're not sure about everything, then you might just get stuck in old paradigms and you're not willing to push through some of that fear and
Mm.
have that belief to take that leap, which can feel scary at times.
Mm. We could all come up with lots of reasons not to do something. It's
Oh,
very easy to be like, yeah, not right now. I'm not really feeling it right now. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
do it
right,
in 6 months.
We'll
I'll
talk
do it.
right.
ourselves, and then we end up
Yeah.
talking ourselves out of it.
Yes.
And then looking back 5 years or 10 years down the line saying, what if?
Well, at certain stages, that disruption is scary. It's like, wait a minute. I mean,
Sure.
just when we took the leap and started our own fully independent, it's like we could lose it all. Like, you
Mhm.
have to really believe and have conviction. And also, we moved forward together in sync. And that was so key also. That power, it's not 1 + 1 is 3, it's 10, right? Because that force of working together and collaborating it's just really, again, so powerful.
Well, it's a beautiful integration of not just a great idea in the right time. You both had functional expertise that you came together with
Exactly.
Will, and you were able to blend that and put together something really, really powerful. But it's also become your buoy. It's where you come back to process, evaluate, and grow. And then just even this piece, which I want to talk about your team next, is the fact that you both have, and Will has this philosophy as well about seeding for the future. How are we building our next generation of leaders to take this firm to the next level?
Mhm.
You have this all hands meeting every Friday that I want to talk about. And it's called It Doesn't Matter, Get Better. Please elaborate.
Yeah, so this is something we actually started probably about, I'm going to say, at least 3 years ago,
Hmm.
when we realized that, we wanted to create a unique culture. We are really disciplined and deliberate and intentional in the people that we bring into the firm. We do our own recruiting from business, from schools and stuff like that. And we've always said that we can teach investment management and research and stuff like that, but we can't teach work ethic, integrity, character, and stuff like that. And we started this doesn't matter, get better culture even prior to the pandemic. And because it's not, and we talk about every Friday, it's at the same time every Friday, and everyone participates in leading certain topics, and it's a junior partner that actually leads those conversations with one or two other colleagues, and we talk about everything in those programs, from forgiveness to client service, to how to own
Mm.
your 20 square feet, to how to apologize, to uh,
Listening,
yeah,
virtual
non
communication, managing
non
relationships in a virtual world.
nonverbal communication,
Yeah.
gratitude. We talk about how sleep is your superpower. So just and the process is, we issue some information beforehand, whether that's a TED talk or an article, and
Podcast.
we have
Yeah.
a prompt of, 2 or 3 questions and respond, and then we all get on and talk about it. And what I have found most compelling and intriguing is that so many of our colleagues, junior partners, and even just any younger colleagues, have said how much this these conversations have impacted their personal lives.
Mm.
That they go home and talk about this topic at the dinner table, or they're mindful of, when reprimanding one of their children, of how to have a meaningful or empathetic conversation. That to me is, just really inspiring that we're making an impact, not just in the office, not just in client relationships, but in
Mm,
outside of the office as well.
But that's really
Barbara, what do you
this,
think?
yeah, this core element of a holistic approach to everything we do, right? Because
right.
how we show up at work is who we are at
Yeah.
home also.
Hmm.
And I think what's been really important is the willingness of senior people to be vulnerable, right? And to show who they are, who some of their personal challenges or professional challenges, so that we really are very upfront and willing to share some of our struggles as well as some of our joys and victories as well. And I think
Beautiful.
what's been so great during, especially during the pandemic, when we're not physically together. This is culture from the bottom up. You just can't say this is the culture from top down and shove it down. It has to meet. And this program and process has really helped us maintain connection and build that authentic culture throughout a time when we were physically apart.
Mm,
And who knows how much we actually will ultimately be back together. So we'll always be able to use this as a source of strength and glue and just foundational support for long tenured employees, as well as the newer employees who really get to see and connect with people
mm.
more quickly in ways, that they otherwise wouldn't have been able to.
Right.
It's the full expression of the human being. It's just having this conversation with our colleagues, pre-pandemic, we had a filter on who we were. This is who I am. This is my title. This is my operating principle. These are my strategies. This is what I'm known for. And that was the filter that the world would see inside the office. And it was very compartmentalized. So now here we are, fast forward 2 years later, with very little filter, if any. And it's a fully integrated human being where we're seeing just all the dimensions of our experiences and having cultures like you're talking about that's inviting it and encouraging more and more of that type of conversation, because the more receptive and connected people feel, the higher they're going to perform
Yeah.
and the more that they're going to contribute to things down the road. It's absolutely brilliant, 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 brilliant. And there's something else that I want to talk about as it relates to the two of you and the culture and the things that are meaningful to you. We have to talk about the Women's Forum, because this is this incredible thing that you've built on a national level, which really, again, goes back to who you both are, what you both valued, what was important to Will, and also as a partner. How are you going to do something else to be in service to a larger community? So
Mhm.
please tell us about the Women's Forum. First of all, tell us how many are in it, because I think how big it is also a key part of your success.
Well, we share our communications with really probably around 5,000 women now globally. That's a silver lining of the pandemic. We used to bring women together. The whole idea was Nancy and I are from a very male dominated industry, and we felt, our success is something we want to share with other women. We want to help lift other women up.
Mm,
And that we also, again, this holistic lens, success is so broad, right? It's not just career success, it's relationships, it's spiritual, physical. Nancy
mm,
said faith before. It's, how we're feeling mentally. It's all those components. So we felt, let's bring speakers in to talk about these issues: mindfulness, your voicing your brand, your physical brand, your verbally how you show up, cybersecurity, what you're doing to protect your identity, and then of course, for us, and so many other topics, but the financial underpinnings, right? That's how it links back to our business, is really helping women own their voice and own their power when it comes to their finances, and not to give that seat up at the table, and not to be caught up in being an expert. Another topic, getting caught in perfectionism, but just be engaged, right? And so if we could help educate women on the financial aspects as well, then that's also a huge fulfillment for us and very aligned with the expertise within our organization.
Yeah, and I mean, I would totally agree with everything that Barbara said. And it's interesting, the way that, just going back to how it started, is Barbara, Will, and I were having a drink some October and back in 2014. And at the time, half of the owners of our firm were women. And for whatever
Mm.
14-year-old, 15-year-old investment advisory firm, so unusual.
More than half,
More
actually.
than half. And that to us was not just something we wanted to cheer about and profess, but we say that was a call to action for us. That was
Mm.
I know when I was in financial services, I asked two women to mentor me, and I was told no. And it was not
Really?
no. Yeah.
Well, that's scarcity. There's only
Well,
one
it's
seat at the table, and don't take
right.
my seat,
Well,
right? So
and
it's
it
not
was
just the
it was
women, it's the environment and the
it,
culture.
yeah, totally. But it wasn't at the time, no, I'm not the right person. Let me introduce somebody else, or no, I don't have the bandwidth. Come back in 6 months. It was flat out no, because it's all about competition and not collaboration. That has to stop. And we truly believe that when we created this community, to Barbara's point, we wanted to help other women succeed, whatever that means to them. And it's just been, I know Barbara feels the same way. This is my calling. This is her
Mm.
calling
Mhm.
now. And this
Totally.
is and our firm believes deeply and fiercely in the women's forum, and ensuring that that we do all we can to foster this community so that other women can succeed.
And other couples, other people, because it helps create better communication and a better path forward for all of us, regardless of gender identity, right? And
Aren't we so lucky that we have found our calling? Like,
oh,
God.
yeah,
Hundred percent.
this is the biggest gift that I
Ooh.
could have had, but I have to be really honest, Jeannie, and we just talked about this in a recent financial program we did on identity. Who are we without our title, without our role, without our privilege and our mile status at the airline? Who are
Mhm.
we corporate wise? And when I transitioned some of my relationship management, consulting duties over to my colleagues, and I move forward, my ego was a little flipped out.
Mm.
But one door closes and another opens. If you just stay in that alignment, just really totally believe that faith and moving forward, this is such a gift to be able to spend time with crazy cool women, to help women. Nancy is so incredibly generous with having conversations with women. you know, we always ask, "Well, how can I help you? How can I support you? Who are you looking to meet?" And connecting women who have started to hire each other, have gotten jobs. Two women started a business together from collaborating in the Women's Forum. Just building lifelong, really value, treasured relationships.
Mm. And that's how I've experienced both of you, by the way. It's very interesting to watch because you both have this natural thoughtfulness to you. You're very, very curious. And it's not just asking questions for the sake of getting an answer or a resolution or moving the needle on something. You're both incredibly present to conversations and have this very, very deep, heartfelt way to you both where you want to help advance something. And I just want to reflect that back because you two are not just talking about yourselves in terms of a very successful business that you've grown, but how you both as human beings show up, I think is very much represented by how many people are attracted to you both and to your brand and to what you're putting out into the world. So I just want to say that back to you
Thank you.
as
Thank
somebody who's
you.
been personally and positively impacted by both of your generosities. So I want to ask a question. Now we're going to play with the future. So I want you to think for a second and just look out into the world. Let's just look at it over the next, I don't know, 18 months. That's about all we could consider at this particular juncture. What do you see and how do you and Cap Strategy want to play in?
So I think from the women's forum perspective, I'll just start there. I think that since we were just talking about that, I think, we really just envision, you know, continuing to bring great resources and content that's action oriented and it impacts women in all aspects of their lives. So being able to just continue to create great programming and really continuing down the same path around asking women and trying to uncover and explore what does support mean to them. A lot of
Mm.
times when you ask women that question, they're really kind of blindsided because they're like, you want to help me? And I think we
Yeah,
have
yeah.
to get
What do you want? What do
right,
you want?
right. What's your
Oh,
agenda? What do you
right,
want?
right.
What, type of thing. And I think for Barbara and I, this really is about being a part of something bigger than ourselves and being sure that women know that this comes from a deep and authentic place of caring, that I never want another woman to ask for help and hear no. I never want one of my nieces to ask for no. And I want to see women find that fulfillment in across every aspect of their lives. So that I
Mm.
think is from the women's forum. We started to do a podcast, of course, um, that we're really excited about just interviewing some really amazing women, and just as I said, continuing to create and inspire women and getting women to take action in their lives. And I think from the institutional side, same thing. We want to be sure that, or from the other part of the business, just Cap Strat as a whole, continue to be of great value to the clients that we serve. We are not, as I said earlier, not looking to be the biggest and not looking to be everything to everybody, but we have certain core philosophies and principles and values, and really want to deliver great value to the clients who embrace those same.
Yeah, that's all of that is spot on, Nancy. I'm excited that from the firm's perspective, when you have your own firm, you get to pick how you grow and what you do and how you do it, which
Hmm.
is awesome. And when that value add is real. I mean, I think the good thing is because we help lead organizations to build better decision making processes and governance structures, that we can be more intentional in how we're
Hmm.
helping them manage these pools of assets, which ultimately helps us get better outcomes for the organizations to help them sustain their mission, to build better process. So it's just such a win all the way around, and with full transparency, right, to what it is and what they're trying to do to sustain their mission, to grow and expand, whether it's a nonprofit or a corporation or a private partnership.
I'm
Exciting.
smiling because you both gave me very business answers,
Well, yeah.
and I want to hear from you both individually. So, like, how does Nancy, how does Barbara want to play into the future?
Mm.
So I think so. That's a great question, and I think it's something that is both on our radar right now. Because we are in that stage of our lives where we're kind of thinking about, what does the future look like?
Mm.
And I think about just in terms of, one of the other things I just wanted to mention, go back to the last question, is also in terms of the future vision of the firm is our junior partners and the other people and our associates in our firm. They are the future of Capstrat, period. They are talented, they are wicked smart, they are authentic, they're engaging, they're interesting, they're curious, they're great at what they do. They are the future of this firm. With that said, I think for me, I will always be an ambassador for Capstrat. This is something that, I think I've shared this with you, Jeannie. I'm one of those people who wakes up every morning, puts my feet on the floor and gives gratitude. And I say that I love what I do. I love who I get to do it with, my
Mm.
partners, my associates, and I love the clients that we have the privilege of serving. So long as I always have that feeling, I will continue to be an ambassador for the firm. Now, would I do it 5 days a week? All that kind of thing. No, I'd love to do more things that are fulfilling and rewarding to me. I will always be a part of the Women's Forum. I will always advocate for women. I will always offer to support. But hey, I'd like to travel a little bit more. I'm thinking about starting a social enterprise business with one of my nieces, or maybe two of my nieces.
Hmm.
So I think that there's a lot a lot of on the horizon, and it evolves every day. But that's what I envision.
Beautiful. How about you, Barbara?
Well, I guess I just can't copy her answer, but that just shows you how much alignment Nancy and I have because this work is so purpose driven for me,
Mm,
and especially I have this belief of how can I help people learn from the challenges or experiences I've had, and how can I pass that along to make their life easier or help them make decisions more easily and have more enrichment. That's what the Women Forum, that's what it does. And I really think that I love doing this work every day, to Nancy's point. And also, I know the work we do as a firm is such great high quality work. And we're a change maker compared to other people that do similar work. I don't think it is that similar because I think the way we really focus on meeting clients' needs is outstanding.
I think about, and I think Barbara would agree with this. She had mentioned the word purpose. This is our purpose. This is our calling, and we believe that the work we do matters and is a game changer in some people's lives. I mean, financial peace of mind
mm.
is priceless.
I know
And
I just got a text yesterday from a woman who said, "Okay, I listened to you and I didn't get stuck in my limiting beliefs and I just took a new job and I just wanted to say thank you." And I was like, I'm going to cry. I'm like, I'm
Mm,
so excited.
mm,
You didn't let me believe my bullshit. So,
mhm. I
I
love it.
she went ahead and she wasn't happy with what she was doing. I'm like, well, I really, I wouldn't listen to her because all those limiting, the fear kicked in, right? And
Mhm,
she just needed someone to just, talk through it. Who I know her well enough to push it a little. But yeah, I mean,
mm.
I'll keep doing this all day long if I get those with those text messages.
That's so beautiful how you both articulated that. I want to I want to wrap up with something fun. And we're gonna do a
This has
little
been fun.
this has been
yes,
fun.
like fun and silly, lighthearted, because I'm dying to hear your answers to some of these questions. So we're gonna have a little speed round.
Okay,
Ready? All right.
ready.
First question. Favorite word?
Authenticity.
Ooh.
Faith.
Favorite quote or expression? We hit on some of them in this.
Be the change you wish to see in the world, Gandhi.
Mm.
Active faith steps out on its beliefs and risks failure because it assumes it will succeed.
Whoa, say that again.
Yeah, I need to hear that again.
Active faith steps out on its beliefs and risks failure because it assumes it will succeed.
Hmm.
Mm. And who's that from?
I don't know. I'm going to say it might be Norman Vincent Peale.
Wow. Pet peeve.
Oh, victimization.
Mm.
Not
I knew you were
owning,
going to say that. I could feel it.
not owning your part in what happens
Mhm.
to you. And I've been there before, but yeah, it's so prevalent in our society these days, I
Mhm.
think.
I would agree with Barbara. Pet peeve.
Most influential person in your life.
My mother.
Ditto. I grew up in, not only do we both come from male dominated industries, I grew up in a male dominated family. 4 brothers, no sisters. My mother rocked. She was
Wow.
amazing.
Oh, well, 4 brothers, 3 sisters,
Yeah.
so there were 4 and 4 in my family, but
Yeah.
yeah, my mom was incredible, yeah.
Wow. All right, last question. You can have dinner with anyone you admire, alive or dead. Who would you choose and why?
I would choose Princess Diana because she had struggles that I can relate to. And in the end, I think that she owned her life, and she was an amazing mom. Um, she, I think, owned her power in the end, and I think that she did an amazing job at moving humanity forward, and continues to today through not just her children, but just the impact that woman had on the world.
Mm. How about you, Barbara?
Well, it's interesting. Until recently, this woman was alive, but Madeleine Albright.
Mm.
I think she is a fierce defender of women. Some of the best quotes about supporting other women. But she was an immigrant. She's an American story, right? And she worked hard, and she had, as a diplomat, having, I don't know if you know the story about her, wearing a pin to reflect, the energy of where she was coming from in a negotiation, that she used her femininity and used her inner confidence and courage to just be very straightforward and be diplomatic, but put things out there and to stay focused on what her purpose was, what her duties were, but in a very authentic and I think a way that had tremendous integrity.
What a great way to end the conversation. You just wrapped up everything we covered by talking about Madeleine Albright and talking about purpose and representing your heart and your soul in the world in such a purpose-driven and powerful way. I am so grateful and excited that we got to have this conversation. We've been talking about this for a while, and I'm beyond psyched to bring it to the world. So thank you again for all the amazing work you're putting out into the world, Nancy and Barbara. I can't wait to see what happens with Cap Strat in 2022, what happens with the Women's Forum, and all these incredible endeavors that you're both very, very involved with.
Thanks, Jeannie.
Thank you. And Jeannie,
so great to be here.
You are doing such great work for the world and helping everyone be better leaders, have more courage. So thank you.
Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Warriors at Work show. If you are interested in learning more about what we do at the Warriors at Work show and platform, be sure to go over to my website, Jeannie Coomber, and subscribe to my monthly Warrior Playbook newsletter. I share everything that I'm up to month by month, as well as some lessons and insights that I've learned. I'm also interested in hearing any feedback you have about this conversation or future topics. So reach out to me directly on jc@jeanniecoomber.com or on LinkedIn. Be sure to tell your friends and your colleagues about this Warriors at Work conversation. Subscribe, review, and rate us. It's the best way to get this message out into the world. Be well.